So like that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that even I made as a young entrepreneur is I wanted to help everybody else, but I haven't helped myself first. So I wasn't in a place of health to do that. I wasn't qualified to do so. There's a lot of like you can get a great education off of YouTube with people saying a lot of great and profound things that you agree with. And then you can get a camera out and repeat those over and over and over again and create some really great sound bites. But if you haven't learned to actually apply what it is that you're talking about, that you're learning, then you can't help other people do it.
Hey, Uncommon Leaders, welcome back. This is the Uncommon Leader Podcast. I'm your host, John Gallagher. I've got a great guest coming out for you today. He is going to give us a masterclass in growth, both personal growth and business growth, scaling, and hitting it out of the park. And we'll have some themes there, both in business and in life. I'm bringing you a gentleman by the name of 𝗡𝐿𝐼. He's the host of the 𝐡streak podcast. It's got over 200,000 listeners. He's a philanthropist as well, involved in many things in his local community that I look forward to getting to hear more about. And he's clearly a thought leader in the leadership, social media industry. And he's been featured on organizations, NBC, New York Times, ABC, all the big names where he's been featured. So we're honored to have him as a guest on the Uncommon Leader podcast. But he's also a devoted dad, husband, and a man of faith as well. And I look forward to hearing all those things from here. So 𝗡𝐿𝐼, welcome to the Uncommon Leader podcast. Great to have you. How you doing today?
Well, John, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here hanging with you, man, and all of your amazing and loyal audience, brother. Let's give them what they came to get, right?
Absolutely. Let's do that. Well, let's start off like I start off all my first-time guests. I'm going to ask you to tell me a story from your childhood that still impacts who you are today as a person or as a leader.
Man, that's a great question. My childhood lasted till about my 35th birthday, if I'm being honest, right? So,
okay.
So that story is real simple. It was the last time that I went to my parents for help, and they said, "This is the last time. Don't come back." And that was when really everything that we have today started. That was the foundation of it. It was, Nick, this is your life. It's time for you to take it and own it. You know what I mean? And that was the greatest gift for my family that we have today that my parents gave us was freedom. It was freedom.
Yeah, the little boot or whatever it is, the kick, right? Say, no more. Again, as we're parents in this world today, it's so hard to do that. And I'm sure that was a tough decision for them. But no doubt, some love that was there that was really cool. And I look forward to hearing how that shaped you and some of the things that you are today. You're a former professional baseball player. I'm going to jump right into the podcast and the name of it, the 𝗡�streak podcast. What's behind the name 𝗡�streak, or the philosophy, or what's there for you? I mean, I'm going to assume that there's some kind of baseball theme in terms of the title of it, but what's there for you?
Well, it's really simple. In college, I was on both a baseball and a music scholarship. And, and if you have a hit in music or in baseball, it's a good thing. And if you have a streak of them, it's even better. That's where it came from.
Yeah, you think about that as that 𝗡�streak and you put them together. I know I got a few years on you as you go through it. I remember those. The last one that I remember really watching was Pete Rose's 𝗡�streak back in the day. And then prior to that, I'm not sure all the ones that he was trying to break, but that was really a lot of fun. And that type of 𝗡�streak, that type of momentum that you get on, it's positive and it starts to get inertia. On the other side of a 𝗡�streak is a word you're never allowed to say in baseball, whether that's a slump or something else. But look, in the world that you're living in today with leadership and the influence that you have, and maybe even part of your story, what are some of the things that you see today that leaders are running into, barriers that are keeping them from that 𝗡�streak or that momentum they're looking to generate?
Well, leaders identify themselves first, and leaders always, you have to assume responsibility for everything, because if it's not your responsibility, it's somebody else's, which means they have to solve whatever the problem is that you might be dealing with or confronted with. So I was coaching my son's baseball team a couple weeks ago as we sit today, and the theme of the post-game meeting is none of the players stepped up and led, which means the whole team took a step back. Right. So at the end of the day, there's a saying that we love that on bad players, nobody leads. On average players, the coaches lead. And on bad teams, nobody leads. On average teams, coaches lead. And on great teams, the players lead. So that's kind of like, that's the big theme for us. As the kids grow up, they're 15 this year. It's like, guys, if you're leaning on us to get you fired up and ready to rock and roll, we've already lost, right? So my job as the coach or the manager or whatever is to make sure that one of the players is stepping up and leading that team.
Love that. And I think about that because you're exactly right. Well, again, we stay in kids for a little while, 15-year-old. I got a chance. My brother coaches his son, which is 8-year-old. It's a little bit different world. They're still trying to get into, do we really keep score? Are we counting all the outs and things like that within baseball? But you get into the 13, 14, 15-year-olds, that's the real deal. And travel baseball is real. But from a leadership standpoint, you're in the game and you have responsibility, you have accountability. You mentioned that. I love that analogy of bad teams, good teams, and great teams. A good team has a really good leader. In your world, Nick, and as you coach and bringing that out, what are some of the things that you do to develop your own skills as a leader that you can pass down to your children as well?
Well, obviously, personal development is a big thing, but I believe every generation has to be better than the previous one if we're doing it right, right? So I have to do things bigger and better and move things further than my father did, the same way that he did from his dad. And my son has to do the same thing. And if we continue to do that generation after generation after generation, one, we're going to end up creating generational wealth, but we're going to start to eliminate all those generational sins that are passed down from one generation to the next. So, at the end of the day, somebody asked me the other day who my biggest three mentors are in my life. And I was like, well, probably my dad, my son, and my wife, right? Because I learn from them every single day, specifically my son. My son is the greatest teacher I've ever had because all it's almost like looking at a reflection of yourself, just a younger version, and I already know what he's thinking. I already know what he's going to do stupid, or I know what he's going to do great, because it's so crazy how you see like the way that he learns. And there's so much in common that him and I have, even though there's 29 years of age difference,
I love that. And you think about the modeling. I mean, again, I think about country music that goes along with that. He's always watching you basically in terms of understanding. It becomes that mirror. And I know that listening and doing some research on you as well, that faith plays a really important role in your life. Also, how has that come even more when you stop being a kid at 35, and how has faith played a role in your life and in your business, frankly, too?
Yeah, man. Well, it's, I'll put it to you this way. So your faith is incredibly important because, how hard you believe in whatever it is that you believe in is going to directly affect the outcome of how you do things. And here's what let me see if I can put it together like this. So one of the things that I struggle with going to church is there's let's say 350 people in the congregation surrounded that I love, all right, that I care about in that congregation. But, if I was to have a conversation with them today and then have another conversation with them a year from now, a lot of those people, many of those people, most of those people are going to be in the exact same spot they are today. Right. So like for me, I really struggle with that. Proximity is important. I do think church is a great place to raise kids. It feeds my wife a lot, but I want to be around people that are moving the needle. And, church turns into what a lot of people just do on Sunday, which means it's lost the meaning from the reason that they went the first time. So like every time after we leave church, I ask my wife and my son. My daughter's not young enough to understand, or not old enough to understand yet, but I asked my wife and my son, what'd you get out of that message today? And basically they always tell me what the pastor said. And I said, I didn't ask what the pastor said. I said, what'd you get out of it? Meaning, how are you going to use it? How are you going to apply it to your life this week? Because we'll be back next Sunday. So you empty the tank between now and next Saturday, fill it back up next Sunday, use it to move forward and grow. Right. And so that's the big thing. And you see that in a lot of places in life. When people learn stuff, they'll tell you what they learned, but they can't tell you how they're going to use it. Right. And that's even in the world of digital marketing. That's one of the biggest problems that we see. Like when, somebody will call and say, hey, I'm considering doing business. I talked to a couple other agencies. Those agencies promised me strategy and a certain number of clips. And I'm like, great. They told you what you're going to spend. When are you going to get a return on investment? That conversation never happens in those sales meetings. That's the point of advertising, right? So, I want to know who your editors are if I'm working with you. Have your editors ever sold anything? Because if they haven't sold anything, how can they make a piece of a video that sells something? right? So looking good and converting new customers are two different things, right? So there's obviously an art and a science and even recipes to make ads that or to create ads that make people take action. And there's a lot of things that look really great that don't sell anything. And if you went on my Instagram right now, there's probably 5,000 really good looking things that don't sell anything.
You know, I think about that, Nick, and as we transition maybe even from that personal side into the business side, because they are mirrored really well. And you think about, you know, your behaviors and your question to your family as they hear the message on Sunday morning sounds similar to the questions you may have for clients that come into you as well. Is that, you know, what I'm teaching you, what are you doing to bring that forward? So who are the type of leaders, the type of business people that you're looking to work with, and who are the ones you end up saying no to as well, because you know they're not going to be in essence, doing the things that you're teaching them to do?
If people don't do what they know is, or what they should do, it's one of two things. They don't believe that they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they're worthy or that they can have whatever it is that can be had from whatever it is they're doing, or they don't believe the hype in what they're doing. So my job is to figure out, do you believe in yourself enough to win? And then do you believe in what it is that we're talking about enough to actually do it and follow through? At the end of the day, doing what you said you're going to do, that's the most important and probably one of the most uncommon things that people can do. It happens all the time. They say they're going to do something, then they don't do it. So I'm looking for those people that can do what they say they're going to do more times than not, because that's momentum in the right direction. And then those people are the ones that the whole reason that you advertise is because there's analytics, there's strategy, there's a purpose behind every single piece or whatever it is that you're doing, which means a lot of times you might create an ad, you're going to run it multiple times. Well, you got to run it multiple times on time, on schedule, and everything else, right? So advertising is very, very important. And social media is really important because I look at Instagram as a CRM with a news feed, with a live feed. You know what I mean? So however we use our CRM, we're using a lot of those same tools and habits with our social media.
Right, sliding into other people's DMs and things like that, paying attention to what they're liking and what they're talking to you about and those stories that are there, all things that are very important. I'm curious, Nick, because we've both worked with an organization that ultimately teach we're most powerfully positioned to help the person that we used to be. Mm-hmm. How do you use your story to influence your clients, to teach them, to help them understand what can happen, and maybe share one of those misses, you swing and a miss that you had up until the point you were 35 that has helped shape your business today?
Well, one of the biggest problems that I have that I constantly fight in business is I don't part ways with people soon enough. So, I want to change people sometimes when it's the wrong kind of change. I need to just change the people, not change the people, if that makes sense. I can't change a person, but I can remove that person from the circle and put somebody else in there. That's the kind of change that's often required, because a lot of times I make it about the person that probably shouldn't be here anymore, yet I'm holding on to them, when that's not the most important person in the equation. They're actually here to serve the business that serves a person, and I got to do what's best for that person, the customer at the end of the journey, right? So that's probably my biggest thing I need to work on in leadership constantly is it's okay if you're not the person for me right now. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, if I'm spending time with the wrong person, the right person isn't getting the attention they need, right? That's exactly how you have to think about it that way.
Yeah, all those yeses that you say are no's to somebody else if you look at it from that perspective. And I actually had, when I thought about starting my own company 5 years ago, it was a conversation with a business mentor of mine who said, you don't have to worry right now about who you say yes to, because at some point in your journey, you're going to have to decide who you're going to say no to. They're not lined up with your values. They're not lined up with, again, the disciplines that you're trying to teach them and make that happen. And I got to tell you, Nick, it's one that I struggle with as well. And I'm going to assume that leaders struggle with it every day, whether it's employees that they work for that may be getting results that are very important and their behaviors aren't lined up, but they have to hold on to that person because they're so valuable. They're a rainmaker in their organization, but they know they're doing damage. And it's happening similar in business for you. So how have you developed that skill? What is it for you, Nick, that allows you to get better at that?
The same way a manager makes out a lineup or puts in a substitution in the middle of a game or a pinch hitter or a pitcher, you lean on what you know, you lean on analytics, you lean on the outcome that you're chasing right now, right? Which usually at the end of the day, a satisfied customer is the ultimate outcome for any business. So if you can really hone in and focus on that and make sure that you got the right people, a lot of times it's not often the wrong person. They're just in the wrong position. Tom Brady won a lot of Super Bowls, but if you'd have put the center behind him and Tom Brady centered the ball, hiked the ball to the center, and he was the quarterback, they wouldn't have done as good. They would have been out of position. So as silly as that sounds, that a lot of times that is the fundamental issue.
Hey, uncommon leaders. Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I believe in doing business with people you like and trust and not just a company name. That's why a strong personal brand is essential, whether you're an entrepreneur or a leader within a company. Brand Builders Group, the folks who have been helping me refine my own personal brand, are offering a free consultation call with one of their expert brand strategists. They'll help you identify your uniqueness, craft a compelling story, and develop a step-by-step plan to elevate your impact. So head on over to CoachJohnGallagher.com/BBG, as in Brand Builders Group, to schedule your free call and take the first step toward building a personal brand that gets you noticed for all the right reasons. That's CoachJohnGallagher.com/BBG. Now, let's get back to the episode. Absolutely. Well, again, you talk about that baseball analogy. Those 9 players on the field have different positions for a reason. You're generally not going to put that pitcher at shortstop. That may work when they're young, but that's not going to work in professional baseball for success. So you got to find the right seat for the person, the right position on the field for them to play, or frankly, make changes when they are not doing the things that they need to be doing. All things that are very important. And I love using sports analogies to go through that. Look, if you waited till you were 35 to stop being a kid, some of the things that you've achieved since you were 35 are pretty astounding, pretty uncommon in terms of business growth, in terms of the philanthropy that you talk about and how you give back. What do you think are the 1 or 2 attributes that you have that have made that possible when you hit 35?
It's just drive. It's just drive. It's confidence. It's obsession. It's wanting to know, once you figure out your purpose, like that is, once you figure out your purpose right now, because my purpose has changed multiple times. But once you figure out your purpose, you have to finish whatever it is that you're called to do to serve that purpose, because that's where the gift of the next thing is hidden, is in the end of something else, right? So if you quit and you don't finish, you don't get the gift at the end, and you definitely don't find what's in it for the next person. Even going back to people, there's only so much time you have for the people in your life. So I think a lot of times, God has to remove somebody from your life to make room for the next person. So at the end of the day, it's capacity. It's understanding what all your KPIs are that are going to make you successful. But most importantly, it's knowing exactly where it is that you want to go. Your GPS only works if you give it a specific destination at the end. If I just type in Nashville, Tennessee, I couldn't tell you if I'll even be an hour from where it is that I need to go. But if I give it a specific address, it's going to give me all the ways in which I can go there, how long it's going to take to get there. And if something happens to that path along the way, it's going to give me all the new ways in which I can get there and the new time of arrival at that destination. So if you just treat your whole life like a GPS, everything that you're doing like a GPS, it's crazy. You'll find out where you're at in your journey. Like one of my favorite things I love to say is most of us went to school for at least 13 years, K through 12. What I'm for sure of is if I'd have been there 8, 9, 10 years and I didn't know when I was getting out, I would have been out. Dude, I'm never getting out of here. Right. But if they were like, no, dude, you only got 3 more years and it's over. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So like, especially when it comes to digital marketing, social media and such, people can really get into it for about 90 days. But day 91 is when all of a sudden they realize I ain't made any money. And if I'm not making money doing it, it's a hobby. And I like doing other things better than this for my hobbies. Right. So again, if you're going to post one time, why not? Then why, if you're only going to do it once, why do it once? What were you going to get out of that? Most time it's because they wanted to post. It was about you and not the people you can help. Right. At the end of the day, if it's about the people you can help, you'd be posting every minute of every single day, because you'd want them to get your message. Yep. Does that make sense?
I'm following you, Nick. I mean, and as I listen to you, there's words that come to my mind. Well, first of all, as you talked about the GPS, it's intentionality.
Yeah.
Some is not a number, soon is not a time, and Nashville is not the place where you want to finalize. It's got to be that address that you want to hit, so you know you're going to get there. So being very intentional, and I also hear that in terms of even the relationships that you allow in your life, you have to be very intentional. Second thing I heard, is in the direction is the target. You've got to have a target that you want to hit. How are you going to know when you get there? If you just put Nashville, you'll see the sign when you come in, but have you really won? And so having a scoreboard, having a target, knowing when you get there is very important as well. And then the last is that discipline over and over again, that, the ones who are going to win are consistent. You use the word drive, but the ones that are going to win are consistently doing the same thing over and over again, ultimately until they see those results. Many times, at least what I've heard, people will quit a day or two before they get to that journey because it just gets to be a little bit too hard. I think all those points that you have are totally critical. Now, and I've also heard you talk again in the mix. You drive, very important. As a dad and husband and business leader, how do you intentionally balance out that GPS as well to make sure that you're able to have the time to coach your son on his baseball team and be able to be a good husband as well, and be able to be
priorities.
Yeah.
Prioritization, right? So when you have those things in order, first and foremost is, my own faith. If I'm not healthy enough to help my son and my wife or anybody else, I can't do that, right? You can't help people off the airplane if you're passed out on the floor. You have to have the oxygen mask on yourself first, right? So like, that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that even I made as a young entrepreneur is I wanted to help everybody else, but I haven't helped myself first. And so I wasn't in a place of health to do that. I wasn't qualified to do so. There's a lot of like, you can get a great education off of YouTube with people saying a lot of great and profound things that you agree with. And then you can get a camera out and repeat those over and over and over again and create some really great sound bites. But if you haven't learned to actually apply what it is that you're talking about, that you're learning, then you can't help other people do it. So like, that's my whole thing is breaking down the playbook of top performers so you can get to that next level too. So I can't speak with wisdom to really anything that I haven't done. I can only tell you, like, the stuff that we teach or the stuff that we help people out with is the stuff that worked for us or the people that mentored us. Outside of that, I can have an opinion on it, but that's it. That's all that it's worth is just an opinion. So, our parents, I think it's been proven in the last 5 or 6 years that, a lot of the blind trust that our parents put into our government or even our doctors, and teachers and facilitators, it was a blind trust. Maybe it was earned, but trust can be unearned very quickly too. And that's as a parent coming up, there was a lot of things that my parents didn't question, probably because they didn't need to, but we need to question certain things as parents to make sure that it is in the best interest of our family, our kids, and what it is that we're doing, because we are one of one. Our kids are one of one. Our household is one of one. We are incredibly unique, which means a one-size-fits-all solution probably isn't the best thing for most of us.
Amen. Nick, I appreciate that. And you talked about this and how you're doing your business. You talked about the playbook. Let's move over to your business here for just a minute. Social media is a big part of what you got going on right now. Tell us who it is that you're helping and how you're helping them right now.
Well, let me say this. So obviously the person that I'm the best to help is somebody that's where I was in my past, right? Somebody that's in line with the same journey. So I help a lot of athletes, help a lot of business owners, help a lot of husbands and fathers. If you're in your mid 40s, I'm probably somebody that can help you, right? Because that's where I'm at. Or you're in your early 40s or late 30s. So, at the end of the day, if you've got something that you're passionate about that you believe can help other people, I help you connect with those other people, right? We do that through scaling content.
When you think about one story, Nick, that's been extremely impactful for you and with someone you've worked with, could you share a story with us? They're
countless. I'll tell you how a guy named that goes by the real Brad Lee helped me. He showed me what was possible. He asked me questions that made me think differently about what it was that we were doing, our purpose, how we connected with other people. So he really showed me the power and the potential of podcasting, social media at a high level like we're doing it today. He really showed me the reach and, more importantly, the the influence that you can have by doing it right. And at the end of the day, I grew up with my dad in the music business. So, people look at social media. The key word, there's two words to social media, social and media. So first of all, how social is your media? That's really important, but it's media. So how does all media make money in common? And if your social media should probably have a lot of those same things in common. People don't look at it that way. Podcasting, like if you look at the evolution of podcasting, it started out just like radio, bad audio that got better. Then they put a bad video element into it, and that got better, right? So like, even social media, like, what does Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, NBC, ABC, Fox, like they all have content that's in distribution. What do they have in common? Like, dude, like 90 or so percent, maybe more, is reruns. It's not new. So why does all your media have to be new? That's where the expense is. When you have a piece that hits, why not run it over and over again? Are you only going to see that KFC commercial one time? Are they only going to play Jelly Roll's new song one time? Right? So when something works, do it again. Give it to them again, over and over and over. Like, why wouldn't, like, if you look at live TV, there's a guide and there's an ad schedule attached to that. Why wouldn't you want your media to look the same way? That's what we're doing.
Nick, I love that again, back to that consistency time period. And when you find something that works, stick with it in terms of understanding that. There may be an opportunity to improve it as you go down the line. You talked about it, moving from bad audio to bad video to good video. You go back, I'm a little bit older than you, go back even further, like bad audio really was this monthly CD that you got from a leadership expert that came in, or before that, the monthly cassette tape that came in and you had to listen to. You're talking about bad audio and not being able to interact with it. The evolution of that is pretty powerful. Let's talk about that evolution, how it's impacting your business. What about AI, Nick? What are you seeing in that space as we move toward better video and all of that? And how are you encouraging your clients to use it or not use AI to help them out?
AI is a very powerful tool. All right. Now check it out. I'm not somebody that would be considered an expert shot with like any type of gun. All right. So you can give me the biggest and best gun that the military might use, and it's going to just absolutely overpower me. I'm not going to know how to use it. I'm going to use it like a beginner. Okay, so the only way that gun can serve somebody is if somebody that is really experienced and has a high education in guns. AI is the same way. It could be the best and most powerful gun on the planet, but if you don't know how to operate it, you're still going to get out of it what a beginner would. Okay, so AI is powerful. However, I can use AI if I'm a really great home builder. I can use AI to create floor plans and stuff like that based on the knowledge that I've already accumulated. I'm the pilot, but if I've never built a home before, it's not going to be near as effective. Does that make sense? So
yes,
you got to be an expert at whatever it is, a subject matter expert at whatever it is that you're needing. The AI is assisting you with. That's one. Two, there's different versions and different types of AI. When you go to Outback, if the steak cost $100, you'd be like, whoa, this ain't right. Versus if you went to like Ruth's Chris or a really expensive steakhouse and the steak was $200, you wouldn't think twice about it. So most people are still trying to figure out, is this the $20 steak or the $100 steak? They don't know yet. So you don't know exactly what it is that you're looking at. Most people know enough about automobiles now to know that's a $100,000 automobile and that's a $20,000 automobile, and why. Right? But they don't know that about AI. We're not educated consumers yet.
Hasn't been around long enough. I appreciate what you have to say there too, Nick. I mean, I'm trying to learn it a little bit at a time. It's hard to learn a little bit at a time. No doubt about it. I think we've gone full circle all the way out into that AI and how it's impacting how your business is working. Is there anything else you have going on, Nick, in terms of your world of philanthropy or impact that you kind of want to share with the Uncommon Leader podcast?
The biggest thing is reach. You can't help people that don't know you're there. Okay. You have to reach people and you have to reach them often. This is a very powerful thing that we've seen over and over and over again. Because when it comes to social media, it's kind of like people that lose the same 10 pounds over and over and over and over again. They start, they stop, and they start over. That happens a lot in the world of social media. But remember this, there's actually a client of mine that the biggest thing we had to overcome is when he was getting into this, he would be really, really great for 3-4 weeks at a time, and then he'd disappear for a month or two, and then he would come back. And I was like, dude, look at the traction you had in those 3 months. He's like, yeah, it's great. And I'm like, well, but think about what it actually was. Let's say you woke up an audience that didn't know they need to be awakened. You woke them up and they were listening to you. And then one day they came back for more and you weren't there. Well, the appetite didn't go away. All you did was open the door for your competitor. Right? So once you start, you can't stop. You owe it to those people that are leaning on you to show up every single day. Because again, that's who your social media is for. Like, I don't spend a lot of time on X, but maybe my clients do. There's people that maybe I help do. It's not about me. It's about them. So if everything that you do is about them, then usually you're started in the right direction and things can go that way. And if you can keep it about them and make all the decisions you make about them, that's what makes it effective. Like the commercials we see on TV are not for us, are not for the people that made them. They're for us, right? They're for us. And like even now, if you're streaming and an ad runs, they tell you this is an ad. The ad is the star of the show when it's time for the ad, right? And like 25% of what is consumed is an ad. Okay. So why would your social media not be that way?
Yep.
The model's already been proven. You're already a consumer. What most people are when people are consumers, they don't even know why they're a consumer of what they like and why they like it, why they go there, right? There's multiple reasons in which you go to your favorite restaurant or you shop at that store, you go here or go wherever it is. Use that. People are going to buy you for the exact same reasons. And that's how you target people, right? So, 2 years ago, posting every day that was the best practice. But now that everybody's doing that, well, you got to ask yourself, what's in it for Instagram? What's in it for Facebook? What's in it for YouTube? They want people on there, right? When does Nick Hyder leave Instagram when he's mindlessly scrolling? When I've scrolled long enough that nothing caught my attention, I'm like, well, let me give TikTok a shot, right? So their job, it was kind of like when we were in the nightclub business and I was a DJ, like every third song, I had to capture people or they would leave, right? But I also didn't want them on the dance floor all night long. We didn't make any money. I needed to push them to the bar and then bring them back to the dance floor, right? So there, again, this is an art. There's a science to all these things, and you just have to show up for people. But like if you looked at our content calendar, I think you'd be blown away. Like all of our ads are listed, when they get run, while we're running them, like we have multiple versions of the same ad. The call to actions are different. What is it that we're working on and who is it that we're targeting and why? And did they get the message? And once they got the message, if we've reached enough people, but we haven't generated enough leads, we know it's a problem in the messaging, right? Reach is number one, priority number one, and then messaging is number two.
Love that, Nick. I hear the passion in it too. Where can folks learn more about you, connect with you, and get to know a little bit more about what you do?
All of my socials are my name, at Nick Hyder, nickhyder.com, and of course on all podcast platforms under the Hit Streak.
Hit Streak Podcast. I'm going to give you one last question, give you the last word. You've been very gracious with your time and for the listeners of the Uncommon Leader podcast. But I usually use this question as a billboard, but in your case, from a social media component, I'm going to give you one IG post you can do. Okay, you only get one that you're going to give a lesson to somebody today that they're going to make a difference. What's it going to say on that Instagram post or that LinkedIn post or that social media post that you would want to tell them and make sure they took action? And why do you put that on there?
Number one is whatever problem it is that we're working on solving for whoever it is, that's going to be front and center in the first 3 seconds of that clip. All right, so we're going to have a really, really strong hook to capture your attention. Okay, we want you to pause and think for a moment. Then we're going to give you some messaging or really outline that problem and why and what the solution might be. But most importantly, the most important piece, I told you those 5,000 mindless pieces of posts on Instagram that were never aimed at any revenue. It was because if I like what I saw, it didn't tell me what action to take next. You have to, like, when you see the Pizza Hut commercial with that looks all beautiful, they say, here's how you get the pizza. That's the most important thing. Like if your video just fades to black, you lose. You have to know that that it ended and what happens next, right? So the call to action is the most important piece of any clip that you're going to have. Every single piece needs to have a call to action. Whether it's like and follow for more, share it with somebody who needs to hear it, comment this word to get in touch, whatever it might be, you got to tell them what to do to get if they like what they heard, you got to tell them how to get it.
Love that, Nick. State the problem, call to action, get them so that you can help them solve that problem. Nick, again, once again, you've been very gracious with your time today. I am wishing you the best in your steps forward. I know, again, while you won't catch me in years, I can tell by your drive that you're going to be successful in all that you do going forward. I appreciate you investing time with us. Thank you so much today.
Thank you, brother.